In chapter 3059, Carrie finds herself in a state of desperation and loneliness, leading her to reach out to her younger brother Trenton in a moment of vulnerability. The chapter opens with Carrie breaking down in tears during a phone call with Trenton. Her emotional outburst shocks Trenton, as his second sister is typically willful, wild, and unreasonable, but rarely cries. Concerned for her well being, he immediately asks what is wrong and urges her to explain her distress. Carrie, feeling isolated and abandoned, questions whether Trenton still cares about her, or if his loyalty now lies solely with their eldest sister Cameron. She expresses her bitterness and resentment towards Cameron, accusing her of manipulating the situation to her advantage and claiming that Cameron lied about their uncle leaving everything to her. Carrie attempts to sway Trenton to her side, urging him to stop supporting Cameron and instead join forces with her to reclaim their family's assets and legacy. However, he remains skeptical of her claims. He knows that while there is no strong bond of sisterhood between Carrie and Cameron, Cameron would never deliberately harm Carrie. In his eyes, Cameron is not the type to initiate conflict. Instead, he views Carrie as the one who constantly causes trouble for Cameron, leaving Cameron no choice but to respond. He understands that Carrie, with her impulsive and simple minded nature, is no match for the more thoughtful and composed Cameron. Despite Carrie's attempts to paint herself as a victim, Trenton's concern for her well being remains genuine. As the conversation continues, she shifts the focus from her accusations against Cameron to her own health issues. She reveals to Trenton that she might need surgery, alarming him even further. He immediately offers to take leave from his studies and return home to be with her during this difficult time. However, she quickly backtracks, downplaying the severity of her condition. She tells Trenton that it is not a major surgery, but rather a minor procedure to remove a small polyp. She insists that there is no need for him to come back, arguing that he, as a grown man, would not be able to care for her properly during her recovery. She also expresses her embarrassment at the idea of her brother taking care of her for a gynecological procedure. Her reluctance to have Trenton return home stems not only from her desire to protect his academic pursuits, but also from her deep sense of shame. In truth, she is pregnant and considering a miscarriage, but she cannot bring herself to tell Trenton the truth. She fears the judgment and scorn that might come from both Trenton and Cameron if they were to find out. Instead, she fabricates a story about needing a minor surgery, masking the true gravity of her situation. Despite her reassurances, Trenton remains worried. He suggests calling Cameron to ask her to accompany her during the procedure, further highlighting his concern for his sister's well being. This suggestion only angers her, who lashes out at Trenton in frustration. Her anger stems from her deep seated resentment towards Cameron and her desire to distance herself from her eldest sister's influence. Trenton, accustomed to her outbursts, remains calm and patient, understanding that this is just part of her volatile personality. However, his concern for her health and safety remains steadfast. As the conversation draws to a close, he asks once more if she truly does not need him to come home. Carrie, still resolute in her deception, insists that he stay where he is and focus on his studies, adding that he can come home during the winter vacation instead. Trenton, although still uneasy, reluctantly agrees to his sister's wishes.